Who's going to get fired? Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis based on your participation. I am not hoping, wishing, wanting for anyone to get fired, but let's face reality. College football is big business, and these guys make a ton of money, not just to do a marginal job, but in most places to win and win big. And if they don't, those are the consequences. You benefit big, and you can lose big with a dismissal from a job. It's a higher standard that most of us have to deal with. And let's look at the reality of the recent situation in college football. Black Sunday after the regular season in college football used to be the time that we would see 8, 9, 10 coaches get axed. But that has been moved up in recent years where it has not been uncommon for coaches to get fired mid-season. Paul Chryst, Herm Edwards, Scott Frost, Jeff Collins, Willie Taggart, Clay Helton, and others just in the last few years axed after 3 or 4 games. Well, we've hit the roughly 5 to 6 game mark. No coaches fired in college football. Who will it be? Well, we've got a list that's quite lengthy. You can certainly add to it in the comments below because there are certain guys that are on the hot seat and it's rather obvious. But there's typically a surprise or two out there of somebody getting let go. Paul Chryst winning 74% of his games that gets axed for other reasons, or that the administration, the athletic department, just not in sync with that particular coach and wanting more. And they certainly want more at Boston College. Jeff Hafley came from Ohio State, and one of the reasons BC picked him up was they said at his introductory news conference, he's coming from a winning tradition at Ohio State and in the NFL. We want a winner here. Well, Jeff Hafley has not done it. At 18-23, 10-19 in maybe the worst conference in college football. 3-3 this year doesn't look bad, right? Well, look a little deeper. 1-2 in conference play. Lost to Northern Illinois. Played Holy Cross to a 27-24 game. Bludgeoned by Louisville. Louisville's good, but not 56-28 good. Now, they played that great game against Florida State, and if he could have pulled that off, and almost did, wow. And Boston College had to win a game in the ACC. They played Virginia, who's lost a zillion games in a row in the conference, and they barely won that game 27-24. This defense is atrocious right now. Number 111 in the country in yards per play given up. And think back just a few years to those Steve Addazio defenses in 2014, 15, 16, top 10 in the nation, and a number 1 ranked defense in 2015. On the hot seat at BC is Jeff Hafley. Let's stay in the ACC, and a coach that I got to say, with all the respect I have for him, I don't know how he has a job. Dino Babers has been at Syracuse for a long, long time, and he has produced 2 bowl teams in 7 years. Yes, 2 in 7 years. It's hard to miss a bowl game in this day and age. 80-some teams make bowl games. Got to make a bowl game at least, right? And he's made 2. He had that really good 2018 season at 10-3, 6-2 in the conference, and that was a bit of a mirage if you really look at the results. They beat up on a lot of bad teams and were helped out by the schedule. Dino Babers got off to a good start this season, 4-0, lost the last 2 games, and just completely annihilated by North Carolina this past weekend by 5 touchdowns. And then look at last year. This is a pattern. Syracuse doesn't play anyone typically in the non-conference schedule, builds up the record, and then it comes crashing down. They started last season at 6-0. Then they went 1-6 the rest of the way, and they looked like a really good football team going to Death Valley at 6-0 and had a 2-score lead in the second half. The previous week, they won that game against a good NC State team, and after the game, Dino Babers was asked about the win, and here's the mentality that I can't stand. You're 6-0. You just beat NC State, who's supposed to be better than you, one of the best teams in the conference. You're going to Death Valley to take control of the division. And Dino Babers is just happy to say, we're bowl eligible. That's our goal. We're bowl eligible. Go take the division. Be a player. Dino Babers right now is 40-51 at Syracuse. He is 18-41 in the conference. Since that nice top 15 finish in 2018, Syracuse and Babers 9-27 in the ACC. They've got a trip to Florida State on Saturday. Then the rest of the schedule, typical ACC fodder. Syracuse could win all those games. They could lose all those games. On the hot seat at the Cuse, Dino Babers. Pat Narduzzi won the ACC championship in 2021. He went 9-4 with a bowl victory in 2022. How could he possibly be on the hot seat? Well, things change quickly. They head south in college football in a hurry, and sometimes administrators look at the future and look at the projection. And with Pitt football, it does not look good right now. They are 1-4 right now, 0-2 in the ACC. They have lost to every Power 5 team that they've played, including Cincinnati, including a Virginia Tech team that had lost 9 consecutive games to Power 5 teams, and Pitt wasn't even close to the Hokies, losing by 3 scores. Don't get me wrong, Pat Narduzzi's done a nice job at Pitt. He's 41-27 in the ACC, 63-44 overall. And Pitt football going back to the mid-'80s, 7-5, 8-4 type of program. He won a conference championship, got to a conference championship game a second time in 2018. All right, done a nice job. But again, things are headed south. Things can change quickly. Pat Narduzzi possibly could happen on the hot seat at Pitt. Now we go to the Big 12 for 3 more on the hot seat, including this guy who was a hot commodity just a few years ago. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, 49-45 there. And Iowa State, we know, one of the worst football traditions and histories in the Power 5. Win 3 or 4 games. He gets there, elevates it immediately, and hits the pinnacle with that 2020 Big 12 championship game appearance and Fiesta Bowl win. Top 10 finish that season. Since then, the next year they were supposed to really hit their stride. Brock Purdy at quarterback, all that NFL talent that then departed, and they went 7-6. And since then, it's been a rough ride for Campbell and Iowa State. 4-8 last year, just 1 win in the Big 12. He's got that 1 win already this season at 3-3 overall. Matt Campbell, it doesn't seem possible, but just consider that they have really plateaued and declined, and it's been 3 years for Matt Campbell at Iowa State. Baylor football has been a roller coaster ride for a long, long time, especially in the last decade. Art Briles brought winning. He also brought corruption. And since then, it's been back and forth. Matt Rule moved on to the NFL after he fixed things, and now Dave Aranda, 2-7 that first year. Then, boom, Big 12 championship and a Sugar Bowl victory. Since then, for Dave Aranda, lost to Texas State this year. They almost lost to UCF. They pulled it out in the fourth quarter, down by 4 touchdowns. They lost last week to Texas Tech by 25 points. 8-11 since winning the Sugar Bowl, 22-20 overall, 14-16 in the Big 12. Sounds awfully average despite that one huge season. Dave Aranda thinks could be getting warm in Waco. Dana Holgorsen commented at his weekly news conference that Neil Brown's doing a heck of a job at West Virginia. They're winning there. But Dana and Houston, not so much at his current stop. 0-2 in the Big 12, getting blown out. 2-3 on the season, and keep into consideration 29-23 doesn't sound bad, but that's in the American Conference. Level of play has been raised significantly. Dana Holgorsen could be a short timer at Houston. They want to win. They want to make a big splash as a newcomer to the Big 12. They're giving him this season, and it's not working out too well right now. Dana Holgorsen at Houston, hot seat material. Poor Tom Allen. It looked so promising in 2019 and 2020. 8-5, almost 9-4, had a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter against Tennessee in the Gator Bowl. Then 6-2, and who could forget pushing Ohio State to the wire, which would have meant a trip to the Big Ten championship game. Since then, Tom Allen and Indiana football, 8-21. No, that's not the worst of it. 2-18 in the Big Ten. They've played 2 reasonably good football games this year against Ohio State. They stayed in the game for a while, 23-3 loss. Then that Louisville game, look at the Cardinals right now. Look at the Cardinals. Indiana took them to the wire, 21-14, had the ball 4th and inches to score the game-tying or potentially winning touchdown. But got to talk about the downside. This team last year would have lost to Western Kentucky had Western Kentucky converted a field goal at the gun, a short field goal. You know what? This year, they're playing the mighty Akron Zips out of the MAC. And if the Zips would not have missed a field goal in Bloomington, they would have defeated Indiana. It's been awful for Tom Allen and company for the past few seasons. 0-2 in the Big Ten. When is that win going to come? After they scored just 3 points against Maryland in the first half, Walt Bell, offensive coordinator, fired. Tom Allen, you may be next. If we listed football programs in the Power 5 that don't necessarily give us evidence that they truly care about winning, they just want to make money, fill the stadium, get that big TV contract, Cal would be near the top of that list. And Justin Wilcox's stay there has pretty much proven that in particular. 33-39, 18-34. That's the number. 18-34 in the Pac-12. He's 1-2 this year in the conference. He was a tremendous defensive coordinator all over the country at a ton of big-time stops, but he's lost 17 of his last 25 in the Pac-12. He is staring at a fourth consecutive losing season. I know they're 3-3 right now, but those gimme games in the non-conference have passed them by, and now they're looking at tough games in the Pac-12. Justin Wilcox may keep his job just because Cal doesn't care about football. Brett Bielema took over a troubled football program at Arkansas, and it took him a couple years, but he built. And if you look at 3 consecutive seasons, you could see the baby step climb that he was making in what was the best division in college football. However, he had a rough ending to his last successful season, blowing a 24-0 lead in the Belk Bowl to Virginia Tech and blowing the last few games of the regular season. And then moving into the next season, Brett Bielema went 4-8, and he was gone. So it only took one bad season. Could Sam Pittman be the next in line? Man, everybody likes Sam Pittman. His players love him. The fan base loves him. He took what Chad Morris had delivered, which was one of the worst programs that we have seen in SEC history, losing to the likes of Toledo and North Texas and Western Kentucky and fill in the blank, Colorado State, losing 16 consecutive games in the conference, 0-8 in the conference. Sam Pittman steps in, they automatically are better. Forget the 3-7 record. If you watch them play and look at the results, they were so much better immediately in 2020. Then in 2021, 9-4, beat a good Penn State team in the bowl game, finished in the top 15 in the country. But since then, mediocrity. Can't fix the defense. The defense is woeful. KJ Jefferson at quarterback. He's one of the best in the country, but 7-6 as they eked out a bowl win against Kansas last year, and now into this season, it could get awfully ugly. They lost unexpectedly as a near 10-point favorite against BYU, and they're losing in the SEC right now at 0-3, staring at Alabama, staring at the rest of the gauntlet in the SEC, 2-4 overall. It doesn't look like they're going to make a bowl game. Sam Pittman, 9-4 in 2021, looks like a long, long time ago. Can you fire a coach who's 43-23? Can you fire a coach who has won a national championship? Well, he did not win it at your school. His name's Jimbo Fisher, and you backed up a Brinks truck into his driveway to pay him to win championships, and he's not come close. He is Mr. 8-4. This season, they're playing better. They played okay, although the trip to Miami was not impressive at all. But in conference play, good wins against the likes of Arkansas, Auburn. But this last weekend against Alabama, did they play poorly? No. Texas A&M played well. But Jimbo Fisher is being paid to win championships, and he's not done anything close to that. Jimbo is 25-19 in the SEC. You know what that record sounds a lot like? Gus Malzahn. And so again, good football team, recruiting out of his mind, NIL out of his mind, but it may not be enough, and people point to the contract buyout, but this is Texas money. And consider if Auburn could have 2 buyouts on the books at the same time, Gus Malzahn and Brian Harsin, then Texas can afford twice that much or more, and you can always negotiate a buyout. If it's $75 million, you can say, Jimbo, $50 million, there you go, see ya. Jimbo Fisher may be gone at Texas A&M. How about one more in the SEC? And a coach probably shouldn't be fired after 2 seasons. I am not in any way suggesting any of these guys get fired. Although if I were their boss, a number of them would already be gone. A few of them. This guy, though, I would give more time to. However, it's Florida. They expect to win, and the winning is not coming. He had a big win, did Billy Napier, just a couple weeks ago against Tennessee, but that goodwill was negated when they went to Kentucky and just flat out got drummed 33-14 in that game. Florida's got a tough stretch drive with a number of good teams in the SEC, plus that game against Florida State, 6-7 already on his record. And he was taking over a Dan Mullen program that was certainly not void of talent, although the recruiting has been upgraded by Billy Napier, and that might be what saves him. Billy Napier, Florida, we shall see. Thoughts about anyone else? Leave those comments and questions down in the comments section. Lock it in here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video. Subscribe. This is the place to be for the best discussion, debate, and analysis. The Voice of College Football.